Good
Yeah.
time.
Oh, speaking of comics and boozing up, Greg Giraldo passed away. That was going to be one of Tracy's stories, I guess, coming up. We, by the way, will replay our podcast with Greg, I believe, for Monday is how we're going to do that. Was he a friend of yours? Did you know him?
Yeah, I've known him for like 15 years. I still, I'm just kind of in the shock state of it.
He was a really... I didn't know him well. He did the podcast a few times. He kicked ass on those roasts.
Yeah.
It was really just a really funny guy. And then an interesting guy. Wasn't... he was like... His mixed ethnicity, and someone was a scientist or a professor or something.
He went to Harvard.
He went to Harvard?
No,
Did he really?
He grew up in New York when New York was New York, when it was like...
I think his dad worked for the airlines or something. I'm just piecing these things together. But he went to Harvard. He got a law degree. He's a really accomplished, smart, interesting guy.
Yeah, and then became a comedian and was... killing it. He was like a comics comic. We all used to watch him. And if he had a special, we'd all watch his specials. And he was just a great guy. I be honest with you, I can't believe it. And when I heard the news that he was in a coma, I was just like, all right, this is going to be it. This is going to be the thing that turns him around. And I like I said, just because I live out here on the West Coast, I don't see him that much anymore. So I'm just kind of feeling like he's just on the road right now. And it's just it's an awful thing.
It's it's that sort of Mitch Hedberg thing. Like, Jesus, why do these guys go?
It's never the hacks.
I know.
How about
they might kill themselves too. You just don't hear it.
Yeah.
He was really young, 44 years old, and according to his representation, it was not a suicide attempt.
No.
But that he OD'd, and his drug of choice was prescription drugs. And, of course, he's best known for Last Comic Standing, where he's just so likable. Good-looking guy.
And but he was clean for a while, right? I mean,
I shouldn't really talk about this
because
I don't. I know he struggled with it, and he's a great guy, and was a great comedian. That's all I know. I don't know any of the details of it, but other than it's just shocking. Absolutely shocking.
And it's so weird how people are wired, and this is... Basically, what I'm going to tell my kid? I'm going to tell my kid, look, you can fuck around with drugs, but you may be a Fiat or you may be a Jeep, but you don't fucking know. I mean, you may be Len Bias or you may be my buddy Chris. My buddy Chris, did an 8-ball, heart stopped, had to get the whole, Pulp Fiction, adrenaline thing jammed into him. My buddy Chris is one of these guys. He's like, he's half Hawaiian. He's, should have been dead 30 different times with the coke
all those
and the
years
speed.
With the kayak.
Yeah.
Up against the waves, man.
Paddling that wooden
stronger.
boat
Yeah.
while the theme from Hawaii Five-0 played in the background. No, he's been run over. One of the few guys I know has been run over intentionally. Like somebody aimed their car at him and ran him over. He could have been dead 10 times, but he's just not. He's just one of those guys. And then there's like Len Bias. Like, okay, signs a big contract, or what's his name? Signs a big contract with the Celtics, right?
Yep.
And goes out and does a little partying that night, and Bob dead at 22 or 21 or whatever.
Well, I mean,
whatever.
That was the story. That was the first time, but I don't think he.
I'm not saying.
I don't think
I'm
he
not
just signed
saying
a contract and go like, I think I'll go freebase.
No, I'm not saying it was the first time.
Yeah.
I'm saying maybe it was the 25th time.
Right.
But my buddy Chris, you could put 2 zeros on the 25, and you could add another couple of pounds of coke, and he's still fine.
Right.
He's fine.
Right.
And sometimes you take a bunch of prescription drugs and you do what you hear the rock and roll lifestyle, and you hear about the Ozzy Osbourne stories, and you hear about what Tommy Lee guy and all these guys did, and the rest of the guys from Motley Crue, Nikki Sixx or whatever. It's like they're fine. And then there's Len Bias or Greg Giraldo and Danny Bonaducci. Yeah, see, that's a shame. Giraldo gone, but Bonaducci's going to be doing mornings at Philly tomorrow. The point is this. I'm really going to tell my kid, like, hey, listen, man, you could do a fucking pillowcase of coke and be around tomorrow, or you could do 2 lines and fucking...
You're done.
Go into cardiac arrest.
Yeah, it's probably better just to tell him not to do it in general because,
but if I tell him that, he might do it. That's my thing. And here's the thing. I've asked Dr. Drew about this a million times. You don't know how someone's wired. Meaning, like, Len Bias was a world-class athlete.
Well, I have to tell you that like, what little I knew about what was going on, like, I just, how I knew Greg, like, I didn't believe, I was surprised when I always heard he had a problem because he was never, I never really saw him out of it. He was such a bright guy, and I can't believe I'm talking about him in the past tense, but it was just, it's still just a total shock. I mean, if any, I don't know, man, it's one of those that obviously can happen to anybody. I'm like one of those people, like, because I don't struggle with addiction. I was always confused by it, but just seeing somebody, as talented as that guy, as smart as that guy, lose to it is just really shows you. I don't know what they call it, disease, whatever they call it, but it's the pull of it is incredible.
Sometimes when guys are really high IQ guys, they can get away with doing stuff. Like there's guys that are. It's that sort of Lawrence Taylor syndrome, which is they're such great athletes and they're so good at what they do that they can go out whoring and drugging the night before the fucking Super Bowl and still get 2.5 sacks on Sunday. Like,
they know their limitations.
Well, not only that, but they don't have, like, Greg Giraldo. Maybe the guy's so bright. Maybe the guy's so funny. I've met him a few times. We had him in here. It never seemed like anything was going on with him. Versus when you'd see...
well, it wasn't like now that this has happened, people are going to act like he was a guy who was always out of it, and he wasn't. He just had a couple of periods, like he'd go on a bad run, and then he would be fine. And like when I left New York, he had a sponsor and everything, and he was sober, and he looked great. And I didn't hear any stories about him missing gigs or anything. And it wasn't until like the last 6 months that I heard that maybe he was starting to get in rough shape again. But I just hope when people seeing this that they're not that he's gonna get defined like he was this guy nodding off on corners. He wasn't. He was in clubs absolutely destroying, and all of us comics, we all watched him and have nothing but respect for him. That's what just sucks about something like this.
I never even heard that about him. But
and he just, the way they found him is that he failed to appear at a gig, and then a friend went over and found him.
Yeah, he's supposed to be at the Stress Factory.
Yeah. Anna Nicole Smith could not get away with doing drugs. That's what I'm saying. Like, like, oh my God, something's up with this person. Maybe Giraldo, sadly, was sharp enough to do it. But, again, I never saw it, and I never heard it.
Like I said, it was just so people don't start painting the guy out like he was this dude on the corner.
I don't think they're going. I don't think they're gonna, because I never really. I'm naive.
Yeah.
But I don't have a drug problem. I have a red
I think
wine
he had a couple of bad stretches, and this was the last one he had, and it ended up like this. But other than that, he was a total professional, and like I said, he's like one of the comedians. We don't laugh at anything, but he's one of those guys. If I knew he was coming up and he was on stage, I would always watch him because it was just A-list material. It wasn't hacky. He just was, had his own voice, and it just sucks.
Sad, yep. And again, Mitch Hedberg. Like, as a matter of fact, you know what? I don't want to. Bill Burr, not a fan. Because every time I announce, I normally just hate stand-up comedians, but once I go, that guy's funny, it's like, so, did you hear what happened to Bill Burr? Yeah, so it's bad.
That's with me, like with musicians. Everybody, John Bonham, Stevie Ray Vaughan I was into.
Sure.
It's just like, never seen it. But I think that was a good point, that I don't think that the hacks, when they die, I don't think anybody gives a shit, so nobody tweets about it or writes an article.
That one guy from Milli Vanilli who killed himself, I was always into the one guy.
Is that Rob or Fab?
I was into Rob. Fab was a hack, but Rob, he was an artist.
That guy, he shouldn't have killed himself. He just waited a little bit longer. He would have been fine, because back in the day when we were coming up, when you were finished in show business, you were finished, and now you can just do a show about being finished. You can just do a show about it. Look at me, I'm finished.
Right.
Like, that's why I think Kathy Griffin is a genius.
Right.
She has her own TV show saying she's on the D list. It's like, you have a hit television show, you're killing it.
Right.
It's a hit. There you go. Exactly.
It's insane. Yeah. I mean, look. You could either go see Dr. Drew, or you could pack on 20 pounds and do some sort of celebrity chub club. Whatever it is, or just get your own reality show where you attempt to get your career back. We follow MC Hammer around. He sees if we can get a record contract. Yeah, get a makeover. I mean, there's really there's so many fucking channels now. It's
Go
impossible
adopt
to
a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
Just sprinkle them around you and just shrug your shoulders like that'll be the promo picture. What did I do? You remember this person from 8 is Enough?
This fall, Saturdays, MC Hammer.
Yeah. Now, was it Rob or Fab who took his own...
Who knows?
Took his own life. Was it Millie or Vanilli? Yeah, but there's no reason to do that anymore. Not with Dr. Drew.